Just basking in the afterglow of yesterday's large festival. I mean, wasn't it amazing? So I wanted to share some reflections. Where I'm located, we had 11,000 people, and we're like a city, not a big city, but kind of a medium-sized city. And they said 10,000 last time in June, and they said 11,000 this time. So maybe it's accurate. But either way you slice it, it was more. And what was amazing about it was just like the last one, so peaceful, so just all this unity and wonderful signs and costumes and music. Now I went as a giant polar bear inflatable, and it was 82 degrees out. And so it was about 85 or 90 inside the polar bear, despite ice packs and air fans. But there was this beautiful moment, despite the massive sauna that I was in, where there was music playing and I was dancing. And that song American Pie came on, which I remember listening to when I was a kid. And it's a really long song. And I was just dancing, polar bear dancing to the American Pie song, the Chevy to the levee. And then that was followed by Tracy Chapman's Revolution, which is another song from my youth, talking about a revolution. And it just felt so clear that, the people are united, the people are shifting their consciousness. And I just want to talk too about like ethnicity and race and everything with regard to what's happening in our country, because I'm somebody who's mixed race and I speak to a lot of different people, and I don't really stick, I don't really stick to certain ethnic lines, right? I communicate with different groups, and so I get to see different people's approaches to things. And one of the things I've been saying for quite some time is that it's really important for the palm-colored people to be out there right now. And that's what I saw. It was overwhelmingly majority just palm-colored people. It was also older people, and I would like to see some more younger people out there. But I was just very impressed, that there's just all of these older palm-colored people who are out there representing in such large numbers. And my friend who I was with, who's palm-colored, was like, I was in my polar bear. I couldn't see who was there. And I was like, who's here? Tell me about the crowd, because I'm trying to look out my little plastic window that's all fogged up with the sauna that's inside. And they're describing the crowd to me. And they're like, well, there aren't really any black people here. Or brown people. Like, it was overwhelmingly just one type of people. And when I did take my costume off to walk around and look, it was true, right? And at the same time that you have all of these palm-colored people, gathering at these great, festivals, music festivals, the black and brown people are engaging in other acts of persistence. And I think it's really powerful that it's happening this way. And I think it needs to happen this way, because part of what's going on with, our shift in consciousness is that the country as a whole is becoming more conscious of, race stuff, like, supremacist stuff. Like, we're becoming more conscious. When I say we, a lot of us, we were already conscious because we had to be, right? But like as a whole, right, we're becoming more conscious of some of these kind of, hate-filled doctrines that don't serve us. And so the way that it's playing out is really interesting because, as soon as the joust news came out, Black people as a community was like, we're going to rest in resistance. We fought really hard to try to convince people that this was going to happen if they didn't listen, and they didn't listen. So we're going to rest now. And I know that's true. I mean, that was true for me. I spent so much time on the phone prior to the joust trying to call all my third-party friends and convince them that in this particular situation, they had to make a choice against flashyism. And that meant that it wasn't about all of these other issues or third party people, right? And I'm someone who votes, independent. And so it's not like I have a party line I was trying to promulgate. I was just about, we have to stop the flashyism. And this was what a lot of um, Black people throughout the country were saying. And there were all those Zoom calls, right? There was a lot of effort made by Black women, especially, to try to get people to recognize what was at risk. And so after it happened, everyone was like, okay, we're going to rest. And then there was also a lot of Black people who were like creating line dances. And that was about like regulating the nervous system and creating beauty in the middle of an apocalypse, right? Which I thought was really beautiful. And then in the Native community, a lot of people were saying we just have to focus on our community. Like we're only going to focus on the tribe, or like if you're in an urban Native community, we're just going to focus on each other. And we're going to remove ourselves from like the national discourse. And then because Latinx people have been under attack, a lot of people have had to, go into hiding or keep a low profile. Like some of my friends said, I can't go to the festival because I could get, removed, kidnapped if I go. So that's not happening. And so I belong to these different groups. Like I play sports and with, queer people of color, and I do poetry. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of, people of color are engaging in creative acts of resistance, like poetry and creating art and creating community. And there's just a lot of different ways that people are engaging. And the way that a lot of palm color people are engaging is through these giant music festivals, because they can, right? Like, because nobody's going to kidnap them or throw them to the ground or arrest them just for being out there exercising their free speech. And so it's the perfect activity for people who have that privilege, right? And I don't know, I just think it's a beautiful thing the way, all the people are finding a way to express. Everyone's finding a way to participate in the persistence, whether it's creative or spiritual or in terms of, marching in festivals, right? There's just so many ways. And at the end of this, nobody's going to care what way you chose to participate. People are going to care, though, if you didn't participate, right? Like at the end of it, people are going to ask, well, what did you do to help the persistence, right? And we're all going to have our own answers, and we all engaged in things that were appropriate for us. But there are going to be some people, the apathetic people, who chose to sit on their hands, and they're not going to have an answer. And I feel for those people because, I think it's going to be hard for them. People are not going to be very tolerant of that. I'm laughing because we're going to be laughing, we're going to be laughing when it's all over. But we're going to be crying too. And we're going to be doing a lot of soul searching. And we are going to be asking a lot of hard questions of our neighbors, of the people that didn't do anything to stop the kidnapping or to stop the flashyism. We are going to have some hard questions, um, you know. But it's up to all of us to figure out, like, what is your path. Like my guides have been really clear that I'm supposed to be doing this spiritual political work online and in other formats, but that's like what they want me to do more than anything. And other people are meant to be organizing, right, festivals, and other people are meant to be creating artivist art. We all have a role to play, and it's just for each one of us to kind of tap into our higher self, to our guides, and figure out, okay, what did I come to do? We all came to do something. And yesterday was beautiful because we got to come together.